So 67% of dog trainers believe that building a strong bond with your dog or puppy is crucial to their overall well-being. So I want to talk to you about the 7 secrets that you can utilize to make sure that you're building a long-lasting relationship with your puppy. I've been training with puppies for a long time now. I kind of got to know them and what that entails. So I want to give you the key secrets that's going to help with training and building those bonds. So let's just jump right into it. So, if you didn't know, the first secret is that we have to remember that our dogs are family. Dogs do consider us part of their pack, so they do see us as their family. So, you want to remember that with your puppy, spending quality time with them, playing, cuddling, and going on adventures with them. I always say that if you have a type of dog that you can take everywhere, be sure that you do take them everywhere because it is beneficial. They are with you, they build that bond, they build that relationship, and it makes them feel like they're part of family. So belongs, there's not any underlying behavioral issues as long as you can take your dog with you, playing, cuddling, and things of such. Number two, communication is key. So just like humans, dogs rely on communication to understand us. So it's important to be clear and consistent when you're teaching your puppy behaviors and what you expect for them. So you want to use positive reinforcement and praise when they do something right. I always say, if you've trained with me before, I overly communicate with the dogs to the point like they're like, "Oh, who are you in there talking to?" It's like, "No, I'm talking to the dogs." I explain everything. Dogs do understand communication. They understand verbal cues, hand gestures, and things like that. So even if you don't think your dog is understanding, explain to them what they're doing, what you're doing, and what you want from them. Um, just so that they'll be able to follow along and communicate with you more effectively as well. Number three, patience is going to be key to building a long, strong, lasting bond with your puppy. Puppies can be they can get overwhelming. They have a lot of energy and they learn at their own pace. I always say, the best way I can explain it is like if you have kids, right? You don't ever, I always say, you don't ever want to compare your kids to other kids and say, oh, well, Johnny's doing that. Why isn't my kid doing that? So you want to make sure that you're being patient and remember every puppy's going to learn at their own pace. One of the things I do hear a lot is like, oh, my last dog, was so smart. They did A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? Your puppy's not your last dog. And you would never want someone to say, hey, I would never want someone to say, well, Pam, guess what? My last dog trainer, they were A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z. I'm not your last dog trainer. They're not your last dog. So just keep in mind that they do learn at their own pace. Give them some grace. Also, regular exercise and playtime. Puppies love playtime and exercise. That's going to be vital for their mental and physical stimulation. If you haven't noticed, a lot of times I hear, oh, my dog likes, my wife more than, me, or my dog likes this certain kid more than me. And I always ask, well, is that person feeding the dog? Is that the person that walks them? Is that the person that plays games with them? They're like, oh, well, yes. Well, that's the person that's building that everlasting bond with them. So make sure to create some fun with your puppy so you two can have that long lasting bond that maybe that one person may have in your family. Number five, kindness and compassion. Dogs do have feelings too. I get asked that question a lot. Yes, they do have feelings. I started off training service and therapy dogs. And of course, those are for people with disabilities, whether they're mental or physical. But either way, those dogs are learn to pick up on your emotions and your cues. So if you think about it, we do have service and therapy dogs. So dogs do feel compassion, love, and care. So you never want to resort to punishment because dogs do learn from the things they go through and experience. And one of the things that I talk about, if I do come out to your home for a consultation, I want to know all about the dog's history and what went on in the early years before 8 weeks or when they were a puppy, because they do have emotions and that does stick with them. Just likewise, when, growing up, I would say no one's life is perfect. Things that we've gone through as, a young child, quote unquote, young puppy, guess what? It does stick with us to this day. So make sure that you're always kind and compassionate to your puppy because they do pick up on that. And, as long as you're kind and compassionate, you will build that trust with them. Number six, my all-time favorite when it comes down to training and building bonds with your puppy is consistency is crucial when it's come down to training with your puppy and building a long-lasting bond. Um, Ideally, you want to make sure all the family members are on the same page and use the same commands and rewards. Again, when I come out to the home and I'm talking about dealing with puppies or dogs, I sit down, I go over this questionnaire. I want to know what's the relationship with each of the family member to the puppy, to the dog, because you may not feel the same way as, your significant other or as your kid. You may have a kid who is afraid of the puppy. So in order to build that long lasting bond, in order to get training going, you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and that you're rewarding the puppy the same. Because again, it boils that back down to what we talked about. Communication is key, and you want your puppy to understand expectations across the board with everyone. Last but not least, you don't think about this probably, but believe it or not, you want to make sure that your puppy stays healthy for that long lasting bond, right? So you want to make sure that you are taking your dog or your puppy. Puppies, older dogs, to schedule your regularly scheduled vet checkups or vaccinations, preventative care, because also in order to have that long, like I said, the long lasting bond, you're going to have a healthy dog so they can last that long. So overall, just to recap, in order to build that long lasting bond with your puppy, remember our dogs are family. Communication's going to be key. Patience is absolutely a virtue, especially when you're talking about puppies. Regular exercise and playtime is going to be key. Kindness and compassion, because as we remember, our dogs have feelings too. Consistency is going to build that bond and trust with your puppy. In addition to helping with training, if you're starting your puppy off on training, and also just those regular scheduled vet visits. So make sure if you're thinking about building a long lasting bond with your puppy, or a lot of times out here, I want to build that stronger bond with my puppy, take these tips into consideration and start utilizing them. And remember, it doesn't happen overnight. You want to think of, like they say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, the long run. So other than that, I hope you gained some insightful tips of how to build a long lasting bond with your puppies. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments. Other than that, you can find me on all the podcast platforms. If you're the type that loves podcasts at Positive Dog Training Combos. Also Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. Other than that, enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and I'll see you next week with another great topic. Bye.